are in the very first broadcast of the GPL in 2015. My name is Chris. I'm joined by Jay Storm, and of course, we did have one match that actually went down on the broadcast. And yeah, we have
Pentakill in the background.
Pentakill in the background as well. So, kind of hyping us into the next set of matchups as well. So, before we talk about that, we are going to bring up the brackets very quickly for what happened last night, as well as what are the current standing for some of the teams that are playing today. And of course, last night we did have a couple of matches that went down between Saigon because it was Team Phat Rabbit, and the other set of matchup. Oh, before that, sorry, coming to this one, this is the ranking for Group B, which are for some of the players that are playing today. Saigon Fantastic 5 has already gone on a 2-0 lead against Team Phat, so they will be currently leading the top of the table with that 6-point lead. And next up is going to be Mineski going out against Phat Ultimate, and this is going to determine whether we will have Mineski actually tying things up with Saigon Fantastic 5.
Definitely indeed, so we will have to be looking forward to what happens in the next match. Once again, Happy New Year to all of you summoners out there. Happy New Year! So, this time I don't get a free LP. I remember during Christmas you gave Daryl some free
RP, yeah.
So,
only once every year do you get free RP.
So this was yesterday's matches. Phat Rabbit, Brick Smart to see him lose 0-2 to the Saigon Jokers, and Hanoi Fu Lewis taking out the Jakarta Juggernauts 2-0 to tie themselves with the Phat Rabbit in the group in second place.
Yeah, that's right. So, with that, I just want to quickly touch on the point as well, is that today is going to be the second day of week number 3, and tomorrow is going to be the last day of week number 3, and which means that with today's and tomorrow's matches, we are going to complete one cycle of the group stages as well, which means that each team would have effectively played with the other 3 teams once, and we will go into reset. We will finally get to see, this time when they meet for the second time, how that's going to change things up. But before that, then we are going to have Mineski going up against Phat Ultimate for the second set of matchups for tonight. And of course, like we mentioned earlier, Saigon Fantastic 5 has already gone 2-0 against Team Phat, and of course, we will bring you some of the action in game number 2 as well, how dominant they were in their performance, managing to close off the game in under 20 minutes as well. It kind of felt like a dream. We were looking forward for the broadcast, and then we were suddenly cut into it, and then it all ended so quickly, like a whiff, like a dream.
It's like I said, it was merciful of SF5. They knew they were a better team. No answers went in there, and them under 20 minutes. They didn't even have the chance to surrender. But now moving on to today's matches, I'm really excited. It looks like I swapped it around again. So once again, I am Jason and he is Chris.
Okay.
Just to get it out of the way. So, okay. So what's going to be happening is we're going to have Phat Ultimate going out against Mineski.
Yep.
So, Chris, why don't you give us a short introduction of Mineski and Phat Ultimate?
Yeah, that's right. And I believe for Mineski overall as a squad, they are no strangers to the GPL audience, and even for the international audience as well, because they did go to Season 3 Worlds. They did not do too well, to say the least, but then again, they came back to the GPL, did not do very well as well. But subsequently, if you look at the season so far, they have been doing relatively well, managing to go 1-1 against Saigon Fantastic 5. I think that was a huge way to start off the season for them, and then subsequently going 2-0 against Team Infinite as well. So this is going to be, I feel like, the one true test they have in how well exactly they are doing up against Phat Ultimate, who of course did go 0-2 against Saigon Fantastic 5, but did go 2-0 against Team Infinite as well. So they are having 1 win, 1 loss. This is going to be a very big test for both teams.
It is the pop event coming in from Phat Ultimate. TG showed that pick in the top lane the last time, the last set of games that they played. So that's going to be banned out, and he definitely didn't want to have to deal with a very unconventional top laner and the diplomatic immunity that she brings to the table.
Exactly.
So Zareth and Nar do have those very strong champions in the current meta, again being banned out Mineski. Fizz also another target to pick, and Mineski's Yume in the mid lane. So Phat Ultimate not really wanting to ban out the OPs, but just specifically targeting Mineski's comfort champions.
Yeah, and it's the same thing for Mineski as well. If you look at it, Lucifer, when he was playing up against Team Infinite, did play a whole lot of Zareth and did pretty well as well. And the same story goes for Nar, for Ness up in the top lane, and Pantheon for Tarzan as well. So in a sense for Mineski, I think because of the fact that they are going up against Phat Ultimate for the very first time, just betting out what they have seen is their success stories in the past few games, and just testing all the waters and kind of checking things out. But of course, back then it was the 4.20 patch, In 4.21, you start to see a little bit of shift in focus, start to see a lot more lane swaps come into play, so that might affect some of the champion picks as well. So let's see what Mineski chooses as their first pick here. And for Unfa Ultimate,
Lissandra.
Yeah, Lissandra is still open. That's right. And for Mineski, sorry, for Unfa Ultimate, taking away the Poppy, the Fizz, as well as Jarvan, very specific and targeted bans, just like you mentioned. And for Mineski here, plenty of options open for them. Taking their time to think through, and I wonder what their first pick is going to be.
Well, the Lissandra is open in this scenario. LeBlanc is available to both teams. Lee Sin is only one of the last top tier junglers available for both teams as well. So we have to see what Mineski prioritizes. Some teams even feel that Corki is worth first picking in this situation.
Wow.
Never mind that, throw that all out the window.
Whoa.
It is the Irelia as the first pick.
Alright. And our mic volumes just bursted out a little bit right here in the stadium. Hopefully we will get that kind of resolved very, very quickly. But nevertheless, like you mentioned, throw that all out of the window because Irelia is going to be the first pick coming in through from Mineski. I would feel that it's a rather bold pick to actually have that locked in for the very first one because you're essentially giving away your cards here, whereas for Unfa Ultimate, they have so much more to work with. Was hovering over Lissandra for a little bit here, but I think they will have that Janna and the Tristana instead. You know, just kind of hiding their cards here. We'll have to see what they lock in eventually.
Janna is also another pick that a lot of these teams, they like to contest because it brings a lot of utility to both sides and the 5% bonus potentially. If you get it together with the third dragon, your ability to move around and corral your opponent into tough situations, it becomes a lot more accentuated. So they are going to go for the Janna as well as the Tristana, wanting to be going for a little bit more of a scaling composition over here.
So for Unfront Ultimate as well, to bring back about the Janna pick here, for Terra, if you look back to his performance against Team Infinite, he was doing very, very comfortably on that Janna as well, eventually going for the Magi Soul Stealer. So in a sense, he has shown how comfortable he is on that Janna and bringing that once again against Mineski. And whenever we have these two teams meeting up against each other for the very first time, you would think that the very first game is for them to kind of test the waters, and I think that's what Unfa Ultimate is doing right here. You know, just playing it safe, playing that comfort picture, and then, you know, having the rest of the team kind of revolving around it. And for Mineski here, let's see what's going to be the choice of champions here. Was hovering around the Sejuani for a little bit here, but right now they have secured their bottom lane in the form of that Caitlyn as well as that Nami.
So it looks like Mineski, they want to go for the bullies instead against Unfa Ultimate. I do believe a lane swap should be in order right now to avoid the difficult matchup and as well as to deny the Irelia away from all the experience. But we have to see how Unfa Ultimate plays out the rest of the pick and ban phase first. Mineski, you're hovering over the Sejuani earlier. Looks like they aren't too confident on the Lee Sin, and looks like Unfa Ultimate, they might want to deny away the jungle pick away from their opponents.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, speaking about the Sejuani pick as well, we have seen that being played in IEM Cologne when Diamond Prox brought it out of the closet for the very long time already. And, you know, a lot of people would feel that maybe Sejuani is going to struggle a little bit in the very ruthless jungle that's put in place in the pre-season 5. But then again, you know, once you get those early levels down, when you hit those level 6 stages, then your ultimate is going to be so effectively when you go in for those team fights. And I think that maybe Unfront Ultimate may be looking to do just that as the timer going to tick down, and that is going to be locked in on the side of Unfa Ultimate together with the Rumble as well. So in that sense, securing a lot of team fight capabilities on their own end.
So it looks like Unfa Ultimate, they're investing in various parts of the game. So they want to go for the team fighting in the form of Rumble as well as Sejuani, lock them down with the Frozen Bola, and then after that follow it up with the Equalizer on top of that. And then you have a little bit of investment in the late game as well, coming in with the Tristana. On the side of Mineski, looks like they're hovering over. I thought it was going to be an Annie over there, but it looks like it is going to be a LeBlanc in the mid lane. Okay. And now they're deciding what jungle pick they want.
Yeah, that's right. And I feel like just overall as a whole, LeBlanc is an extremely good pick in the mid lane if you are just you know, kind of picking it blind to the opponents. And in that sense, for Mineski, they're kind of forced to show their mid lane pick here, but in a sense, having that LeBlanc, at least you'll be able to counter that out with some of the most popular picks in the mid lane right now. And the thing about LeBlanc as well is that even though she does have that silence removed on her own end. She's still a very mobile champion to try to work with, and I think that's what Mineski is looking for here. And they will lock in the Elise as well. So in that sense, some early to mid-game potential that's going to come through from Mineski, and I'm sure they would be looking to sort of use that to their most advantage.
Definitely indeed. Now for Phat Ultimate, if they go for Lulu over here, I do believe that that would be a rather intelligent pick. But now Lulu has kind of fallen out of the meta, and looks like the Syndra counter pick, the LeBlanc in the mid lane here, might be what they're going for instead. So it looks like here he's hovering over there, Syndra, wanting to pick that up for Lucifer in the mid lane over here. Now Lucifer, he's a mid laner with a very diverse champion pool. We've seen him play champions such as Azure, Syndra, his fair share of assassins as well as the Fizz in the DCSA. So we will have to see what they go for in the end. I think that this Syndra should be what they're going for. Lots of line damage together with the Rumble as well. And they always have the insurance in front of the Tristana if things don't really go the way they want.
Yeah, that's right, and I think that's ultimately what Phat Ultimate wants to have, you know, just have a lot of team fight potential, but then again, on the back end, just have that Tristana. She is going to be able to scale into the mid to late game in a very comfortable fashion if they do eventually choose to go for the lane swap. And in that sense, Phat Ultimate is packing a lot of punch from the Syndra, from the Rumble as well, and even from the Sejuani once she lands a good ultimate.
So on the side of Mineski, what is going well for them is that they have this Aurelia first pick for them. I'm a little bit surprised that Phat Ultimate would choose to go for the Rumble in this situation. I think that just shows the confidence in the team fighting abilities. Because if it scales to a certain point, there's going to be this window in the mid game where the Aurelia is going to become this split pushing Minette. When she completes a Triforce, and I do believe if she simply gets some magic resistance on her end, she should be able to split push quite confidently against the team of Phat Ultimate. And that's going to be creating some windows of opportunity for the Elise as well as the LeBlanc to find picks on Phat Ultimate in this situation.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing about Aurelia as well, if you look at it, is that a lot of players would prefer her over a Rumble matchup, because if you are able to sort of sit in lane and be very comfortable in the first few minutes or so, farm up as much as you can, complete that very early Triforce, you will be able to outscale that Rumble in a 1v1 matchup. And that's what a lot of top laners want to be, right? The ability to split push, the ability to sort of create distraction for the rest of the team. So in that sense, I think there's going to be a lot of confidence coming in from Nas here, playing this Rumble, to say, you know what, even though you're playing this Aurelia, I will be able to match up to you.
Definitely indeed. So now there's going to be a lot of emphasis to get Yume a hit against the opponents over here, because LeBlanc as an assassin, you want to be ahead of the goal curve so that you are able to burst down even a slightly tankier target, so that you're able to burst down the Rumble, burst down the Sejuani. So I do believe that Kulit should be spending a little bit of time in the mid lane, and Mineski, they want to be defaulting to normal lanes in this situation. But Phat Ultimate, they picked the Tristana, they picked the Rumble. They all know that these matchups aren't really the best in the laning phase. I do believe that Phat Ultimate will be initiating a lane swap over here. So this is a little bit of mind game. So if you're Mineski here, do you go for a lane swap of your own? Do you just stay in the lanes and try to react to the lane swap as best as you can? Or do you just simply go in for an invade and try to attack the lane swap during the process of it?
That's right. Honestly, if I'm Mineski at this stage of the game, during the pick and ban phase, when I look at Phat Ultimate and their lineup right now, what I would prefer to do is to actually go for very early level 1 deep invades. Because if you look at it, level 1, they actually have a very strong composition to win out that level 1 fight if it all breaks out. And the thing that you want to do eventually is to actually get some deep vision into the jungle area, so that you will be able to say, okay, you know what, Phat Ultimate is going to go for the lane swap. We will respond to that accordingly. And I hope that Mineski does do that, because in that sense, if you look back to the game where Phat Ultimate went up against Saigon Fantastic 5, one of the things that sort of cost them the game was their early level shenanigans there. They had the mentality going into it. They said, we're going to group up as 4, we're going to cheese off 1 kill, we're going to back off, return to the laning phase, and then farm off from there. But the problem with that was that they did not execute it well enough. And Saigon Fantastic 5 took advantage of that. So Mineski here, if they have sort of watched the game that two teams went off against each other, they should have sort of understood how it's going to go down, and hopefully get in some deep vision at the level 1 stages. And I'm looking forward to that.
Definitely indeed. So once again, it's going to be about guessing through the mind game. I think attacking in this case, going for the invade. And what you have to know here, that they have an Elise in the jungle. So a ward start is actually in fact possible for Mineski.
Yeah, exactly.
Going to Elise, drop the green wall early on, and try to spot out your opponent's early rotations to see if they're going to go for the lane swap or not. So very spot on, Chris. I think that I actually like the proposed strategy coming in here from Mineski to be able to do that. But let's talk about scaling a little bit here. Caitlyn as well as Tristana, both of these AD carries scale pretty well into the later stages of the game. Usually Tristana scales slightly better, but here we go. This is the picture of Phat Ultimate. I mean, usually I like to play guess that player with the rest of the casters, but this is a 7-man roster. It's a little bit hard to do that over here. So I'm not even gonna try.
Okay, there's on the Phat Ultimate roster. There's a guy called Tarzan. So which of these guys look like Tarzan?
Tarzan's the second guy from the left.
All right, so you got it. So in a sense, okay. And you know, I was talking to Hungry Kid earlier on in one of the broadcasts earlier as well, and I was saying, I love all these posters that have been drawn on. And this is, of course, the Mineski lineup as well. Look at their Mineski jackets, just kind of shining through here as well. So in that sense, I really like what Garena has already brought out with these players here. Putting a face to the players right here, and not only just showing that these players are just playing online, and we don't really get to see the faces, but here they are. These are your players playing for tonight's matchup as well. We did see Phat Ultimate, and this is Mineski, and we will be looking forward to their very first clash in the GPL. Spring 2015 as well. So let's see how that's going to turn out.
So once again, this is what is at stake. If Mineski is able to sweep this series 2-0,
yep,
they will finish tied with Saigon Fantastic 5 on top of their group. If they draw, Mineski will be second and Phat Ultimate will be third. If Phat Ultimate is able to win 2-0, then they will be second place in the group and Mineski will fall to the third place.
Yep.
And why is this so important? Because the first place will get to play the IEM qualifiers to represent the Southeast Asian region in Taiwan.
Yep, that's right.
And second place at the end of 8 weeks of GPL play would mean that you advance to round 2 of the GPL. So it's very important to see what happens after today's matches. Here we are into the game. Chris, bring it in.
Yeah, that's right. So it is going to be Mineski going up against Phat Ultimate. Mineski starting on the blue side, of course, and TG up in the top lane playing Irelia. I believe it is going to be Colette playing Elise in the jungle, Yume playing LeBlanc in the mid lane, EXO playing AD carry on Caitlyn, and Noelle playing Nami on support.
So we just have to kind of break down the items that have been picked up so far. Oh, it's over to us. As you can see, we are casting over here while we are standing up, really excited about these games here. Irelia actually going for the fast start, wanting to be able to get a little bit more regeneration to get up the hit-and style, assuming normal lanes. Well, earlier we predicted the possibility of a lane swap happening. They're not showing it just yet. But usually we actually start to see these Vietnamese teams only initiate the lane swap slightly later on, so the opponents aren't able to sniff it out so early. I mean, Chris, you proposed to Mineski that they should go in for very aggressive attack if they're on their jungle. Looks like they aren't really listening to you just yet.
Yeah, and I suppose that's fine as well, because if you look at the bigger picture here, usually for teams who are meeting for the first time, the very first game is to sort of get a feel of your opponent's strengths here. So even for Phat Ultimate, when they are playing this Tristana as well as the Janna lane here, they feel confident that they will be able to go into this one and do fairly well for themselves. That's why they have decided to go for standard lanes right here.
That's a very interesting positioning coming from APU Ness, the top laner playing Rumble. In fact, he's walking over to the bottom side of the map. We have to see what comes out of this so far. Looks like he's going to be helping the leadership of the Gromp in this case.
Yeah, that's right. So, in fact, it is going to be Ness starting things off with D1 and, here down in the Gromp camp area. And Ness is actually going to take the Gromp camp out for himself with a little bit of assistance from the bottom lane here. So a very smart start, I feel, from Phat Ultimate here. They know for a fact that, you know what, we are going to let Mineski show their lanes here before we start to make any sort of tactical decision, and that's exactly what they did. And for Ness, at least he has hit the level 2 stage. He will be able to teleport back into the lane up against TG right here and hopefully use that bit of level 2 advantage to his own favor.
I mean, but that's going to put the bottom lane of AP at a slight disadvantage over that of Mineski's, as compared to the Mineski's, who chose to shove up the lane really early on. So now EXO as well as Noelle will be able to put a lot of pressure to D1 as well as Tyr, given that they played the matchup really well. However, what's happening here, I feel that this is rather smart. If they know that Tristana and Janna is going to be weak anyway, so let's sacrifice that for a little bit, try to get Nas a hit, and hopefully he will be able to bully out the Irelia. But so far I don't think that plan has been working out too well for them, as we see Irelia already taking a CS lead over APU's Ness.
That's right, Ness is gonna try to shove out the way for a little bit here. Tarzan going back for his first buy, going for the very early Rangers Trailblazer to try to clear out the camps as quickly as possible. DG here is going to go up aggressive against Ness, and that is going to be the flash blown from TG as well. Kind of miscalculating the minion damage into the equation here, and the overheat getting Ness some extra damage on those auto attacks as well. So in that sense, that's one summon spell being blown up in the top lane.
I would actually consider it a win here for TG, although he was forced to use the summon spell. Rather unfortunate. What's going to happen now is that he's going to be able to zone out Ness pretty well because he's investing more into consumables. As we see now, he's just simply winning this trade against Ness, and the fact that he bought the Phat and he has to hit the style to regenerate his own HP, Ness will feel more pressure, and he will have to play a little bit more safely. And we can see the CSV growing for TG in the top lane.
Yeah, that's right, and we were talking about it in the pick and ban phase as well. For an Irelia player, the most difficult part will be during that early to mid-game stages. So in a sense, if you can get a small lead as compared to your counterpart, that's always going to be great for you, because you know for a fact once you go get the Triforce, once you get a couple of defensive items, you will be able to out-trade against the Rumble player here. And speaking about that, down to the bottom lane here, EXO as well, kind of struggling a little bit, surprisingly, against B1 and Terra. So I have to give props to them. They know the matchup well enough to keep Tristana safe. B1 here.
Noel misses the bubble.
Yeah, that's right. Misses the bubble, takes a lot of damage in that trade as well. So they have to be very, very careful here. Normally you would think that Nami as well as Caitlyn will be the ones dominating in this matchup, but that's not quite the case as of now.
Well, to be fair, they are 7th CS. The Gate is not really the most so far. They can do a better job. In fact, we saw EXO miss 1 or 2 CS over there, and it's quite a big thing considering that you're playing Caitlyn with the headshot available. You shouldn't be missing those CS.
Okay, we go now in the mid lane. Lucifer almost getting snared out for that one, but will choose to blow that flash once he saw Khalid come into the area here. And something to point out for Khalid as well, he did go for that very, very early Rangers Trailblazer instead of that Stalker's Blade that we see most junglers go for right now. So gonna favor that wave clear, the jungle clear a little bit more, as we did see down the bottom lane a little bit of trade back and forth here. And now, right now, back up into the top lane. GG's gonna go aggressive against Ness once again. He does not have his flash, so he will have to back off for now, but he will have the hidden style to try to regen himself for the time being.
One of the big questions coming to the new format of the GPL is 6 Vietnamese teams. How would the new Vietnamese teams fare in the current format? Everyone knows that Fuloist, SAJ as well as SF5 would all do very well, and they have been showing up for a large part of it. However, the other 3 new teams, Aces, Phat, APU as well as Zotac 269. How strong are the Vietnamese in fact? Because all these teams have gaming houses, but never mind that we actually see Kulit coming around for a gank. Nothing's gonna happen.
Oh, we do have the first blood. Up in the top lane, we do see 2 flashes being blown here. We did see Tarzan pick up the first blood down the bottom lane. Must have been a gank coming down through from Sejuani here. So we kind of missed that one out, but with the 3-man gank here, that is what you're gonna presume is gonna happen.
So the thing about APU here is that they're rather decent team. Currently, they are in the middle of the standing in their own domestic league, the DCSA.
Yep.
But the thing is, they haven't been really the most mechanical of teams. But they managed to qualify for the GPL through the use of very smart pickers and bans, as well as intelligent rotations around the map. Okay. They're a team that plays more brains rather than brawn, and you can see that with the matchup against Mineski.
Speaking about Brawn though, there's a lot of Brawn put up in the mid lane, and that is the kill going over to Lucifer right here. So, you know, we're talking about the pick during the pick and ban phase. You know, LeBlanc's a very good champion, but Syndra is just such a strong counter pick, and that was exactly what happened. Lucifer picks up that kill, and we do have Khalid around the area here trying to clear up some experience for himself, but Lucifer is gonna walk out of there nice and easy.
Syndra on Lucifer doing an excellent job in this matchup. They left the last pick for him. He got the counter pick he wanted, and in this favorable matchup, he is doing a fantastic job. Being hit CS, now sliding hit the levels, and being able to find a solo kill on his opponent as well.
Now, speaking about experience as well as the goal lead here, if you look at it, Phat Ultimate, surprisingly with this matchup that we're talking about earlier, is up by 2 kills and about 1,000 gold at the 7-minute stage here. So looking quite comfortable to transit into the mid-game stages, and I think that's where the real terror begins, because, you know, Rumble, Sejuani, Syndra, all these guys have so much mid-game potential here, and that's something that Mineski really has to watch out for. If you look at their lineup here, a lot of pick potential with the Nami, and the elites as well, but they are doing not too much to, sort of capitalize off of those team composition that they have drafted for themselves.
So Phat Ultimate is a team that's carrying to Hanoi City. Oh, it's top lane is a little bit of a duel over here, but I don't think Smart should be coming out of that. In fact, Ness turning on the TG.
It's going to be a pretty even trade overall, but we won't see a kill transiting out of that one.
So going back to my point,
yeah,
APU, they come from Hanoi City as well. So usually people see Full Leads as this extremely brawny team. Previously with SOF on the team, they go for these crazy team fights. It looks like it's not supposed to work, but they just win it anyway.
Oh, hold on now. Up at the top, the equalizer gets dropped right here. And in fact, we're gonna have TG melting down to Tarzan with the ultimate coming through here. Khalid now is gonna try to run for his life, and he will be able to do so down the bomb lane. Phat ultimate as well as B1. Now going for the kill, zeroing onto Noah. Does get that final bit of damage from the explosive shot from Tristana here. Very nice level 6 engage coming through from the APU squad.
APU showing that they can bring out the brawn as well, just simply outclassing their opponents in mechanics and going 4-0. Definitely the Sejuani is being a very big part of it, having 2 kills on herself with 40 CS.
Okay, we go now. They are going to jump in onto EXO as well, getting the slowdown. B1's going to put some damage down onto him and landing the Grievous Wound, making sure that EXO won't be able to lifesteal back in the process. So very dominating performance from the bottom lane of APU so far, and let's see how that's going to translate into mid-game stages. Usually as Caitlyn lane, you will want to stay ahead of your opponents, but I think that window has now closed as we approach the 10-minute mark.
Now most people remember EXO for his run at Worlds under Mineski, so he's one of the few players together with TG. I do believe TG was being support for him at the point of time.
Yep.
Now he's playing in the top lane. So EXO vs TG were the original Mineski players who went to Worlds with this team, and he's rather famous on this AD carry. And more famously, they beat out SGS in the qualification stage by playing scaling champions and being able to outskill SGS's aggressive strategy.
So let's see how that's going to translate into this game though, because he is the one playing Caitlyn, and even though we do see Caitlyn doing fairly well in the mid-game stages, she's going to start to fall off a little bit in the mid-game stages when the other champions start to get their own items. So in that sense, B1 here is going to start to show his strength in the later stages, about 5 to 10 minutes later. But so far he's been doing quite well for himself already. And Tarzan actually going to visit down to the bottom lane once more. Very active and very vocal about his dominant performance in game number 1 so far. Has been securing a couple of kills for himself and assisting the rest of his teammates.
So despite being picked into a losing matchup and not going for a lane swap, B1 has done a pretty fine job of... He's about to end series behind right now, but it could be worse. And I have to say, as a Tristana, it's okay to fall behind early on, especially against such a monstrous bully such as Caitlyn. 16 kills to make up for it in the later stages of the game. But we have to see how he chooses to itemize after this big attack. He goes for more wave here, meanwhile fighting in the lane.
That's right, Yume's going to get melted down once again. Is the Ignite going to be enough? Once again, Lucifer's going to pick that one out for himself. 2-0 in the mid lane already for the APU squad here. And down the bottom lane, we do see Ter actually getting the kill once again onto EXO. They are going to chase down onto Noel, forcing him away down to his turret, and that's 2 more kills getting secure on the side of APU. They are going to rotate down to the Dragon.
This is a very dominating performance by the APU team. Definitely credit to Tarzan making the rotations around the map and having the necessary map pressure to allow the Synchros to continuously bully out Yume's LeBlanc.
That's right, and I think this is going to be one of the best moments for them to try to do so as well. Ever since the 4.21 patch, it means that you can't juggle the Dragon aggro anymore, and so it kind of throws the teams a little bored. They have to sort of visit the area a little bit later than usual. And for APU, because they know for a fact they're up by 6 kills, they're very comfortable on their level lead here, taking that one out nice and easy. Khalid now is going to move up to the top lane, and once again, Ness just flashing away from that cocoon for the second time running here, giving no chance at all in making the picks.
Well, Khalid, he hasn't died or have been able to make any kills just yet. He has been visiting the lanes, but I feel that he's being outmatched here by Tarzan. Tarzan seems to have a very good lead and a very good read onto where Khalid will be. We saw once in the top lane earlier, Tarzan was just there a few seconds before Khalid, and because of that, they got the kill onto TG, and Khalid was just way too late to find a response. But nonetheless, Khalid, you usually want to be getting some more aggressive kills at this stage of the game, but it's not really coming true for Mineski just yet.
Okay, I just realized that his name is Kuilt, so it might be Colt. I think it's Colt.
I think there's an I in between.
Yeah, it's ILT, so it's
Kulit. Cult?
Cult?
Cult.
Cult?
Cult.
Elise?
Elise Cult.
Cult? Okay, we're just gonna call him Cult for short because
Sure, Cult.
yeah. So Cult is it's gonna be Cult for Mineski right here as B1 as well as I think as well. You know, it can be Terror, it can be Tier. So if he wins, it's gonna be a Terror, and if he loses, it's gonna be Tier. Makes sense, right?
Well, that works as well. But here we go as he's deeply made in, and the Syndra is able to steal away the buff. Lucifer using the Force of Will to drag the buff for himself and then finishing off with the orb being summoned.
Yeah, that's right. So in a sense, taking away one more objective from Mineski on their own side of the map. Up by 3,000 gold as well is the APU squad at the time being. As we do have Tarzan kind of finishing up his enchantment on the jungle item as well. So the thing about Sejuani is that, you know, in the jungle, you're going to struggle for the first few levels because you don't have any sort of innate sustain. But once you get past that, you will be able to make such a big impact in the game so far. And he has already done that. So when it passes to the 15 to 20 minute stage, I can only imagine what sort of, you know, terror is going to bring down onto the Mineski squad with his ultimate.
Definitely indeed, because Tarzan on the Sejuani, because Sejuani scales pretty well with HP. The Frozen Flail, in fact, does more damage the more HP you have. So that's going to allow him to scale pretty well to this middle part of the game when it completes Juggernaut Enchantment, which he already has done so.
That's right, and in the mid lane, if you look at Lucifer as well, up by about 20 CS or so, up by 2 kills as well, has finished up that Borello Nomicon and that Sorcerer's Shoe. So a lot of flat, straight up damage is going to come down on his own end. And up at the top lane as well, if you look at it, Ness up by 20 CS and finishing up the Sorcerer's Shoe as well. So he is going to do a lot of magic penetration.
Definitely indeed. So this is the power spike that AP has had for a short while. Tarzan in the jungle has completed the Juggernaut Enchantment. Borello Nomicon in the mid lane. We saw him group up earlier, move around the map a little bit aggressively and steal some buffs, but that's not what APU wants to be doing at the moment. They really want to be trying to force his objectives.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing about APU as well is that you would think that with this sort of lead that they have and the mid-game power spike, they would want to group up.
Oh, here again,
yeah, Terra is gonna might just go down here, but he will use the ultimate to buy himself some time. It's gonna be there. Oh, it's Khalid. He's gonna be the one that picks up the kill. And here comes Tarzan and the rest of the APU squad here. B1 picks up 1 kill and Tarzan picks up the other. TG here is gonna come in with the teleport, but I'm not too sure how much he can do right here. In fact, he's gonna get stunned out here. The chain crowd control is so much to deal with here. Mineski is gonna go down 3-1 in this fight here. APU with 4 men now down the bomb lane. They might just take out the turret right here.
I have to say though, that was credit to Tarzan for smelling the danger that his teammates could be in. It looked like B1 as well as Tier wanted to recall the point of time, but Tier entered face checking these opens. He's got caught out instantly, but melted down from the burst damage coming from the Caitlyn as well. But the response coming from Tarzan as well as the teleport coming from Ness was on point. They layered the ultimates on top of one another, the Frozen Bulla as well as the Equalizer, to be able to lock up Mineski under lots of damage with the power spikes that AP was hitting. So Mineski completely got outplayed in the scenario. Definitely credits to the ability of APU to rotate and match Mineski with the power spikes.
Yeah, I just want to give a bigger shout out to Ness as well. If you look at the Equalizer, it was pretty much on point, and that's what makes or breaks a rumble in a team composition. You need to be able to land those equalizers in the best fashion possible, and for that one he used it to kind of split apart Mineski in their fight to make sure that the rest of the APU squad could pick up the scraps from there. So they take a couple of kills down the bomb lane and snowball that lead now to about 4,000 gold.
Just going back to the composition once again, sometimes you see these rumble picks simply because you're strong in the current meta, but they don't make any sense at all because you play them together with Lee Sin, you play them together with something that doesn't have as much lockdown as a Sejuani or a Jarvan. You want to be picking Raven, you want to be picking Rumble together with these champions so they can layer the ultimate together and get maximum damage in.
Ooh, GG locked in by Lucifer for the time being. And speaking about Lucifer, finishing up that needless steal out shot, kind of accelerating his own power spike as well. And if you look at the rest of the squad, we do have B1 matching up to Exo in terms of the Infinity Edge, and Nas going for a very early upgrade on that Leandri's Torment as well. So Not too sure what's the decision right there, but at least for himself doing quite well, 0-0 and 4 here, as we are looking at APU might be looking to make a play down in the bottom lane here, gonna try to collapse down, and here we go now, the ultimate being blown, Exo getting taken down so low already. Can now try to buy some time for the rest of the team. Is Exo gonna go down to the ignite? Yes, he does. Pazza picks up the kill on the back end as well. Khalid now in a lot of trouble here. He is gonna go down to Lucifer. Rampage now for the mid laner of APU as they look to move towards the dragon, and that was the play that they were looking for, and that is the objective that they were looking to take out as well.
However, Chris, I have to feel that the fight could have been taken a little cleaner. Now, Monster is another very difficult ultimate to manage in the game. I really wanted to blow all the members of Mineski back into his own teammate. But what happened was that he ended up splitting up the members, and he forced the Sejuani to overextend a little bit more to chase after the Caitlyn. So that resulted in B1 being unprotected, and Mineski were able to pick up a kill in response.
That's right, so they will trade objective structure for Dragon here, but that is the second Dragon now going over to AP, and you would think that with a team comp like this, you would favor the raw stats coming in through from the Dragon buff as well. So for APU, it's not too bad of a loss, and for Mineski, at least they will get some sort of consolation with the top lane turret going down. And right now, I feel like they need to make full use of that. You know, the thing is with their team compositions that they have a lot of strength in pick compositions, but they're not capitalizing off of that. Use that vision, use that Elise Cocoon, and then collapse down to one member, back off from there. They're sitting on the back end though, because they are down by about 10 kills or so and about 6,000 gold at this stage.
Here's the thing about Tristana. Tristana, she really benefits from the second Dragon buff because that gives you bonus damage against humans, which allows you to clear the wave more easily. If you get a static shift, you get an infinity edge. If you trigger the critical strike, I give you 2 auto attacks should be able to clear out the wave, giving them a third champion which will be able to clear out the waves in the later stages of the game very easily.
That's right, and speaking about clearing waves, Lucifer now 4-0-0 and a 195 CS has just completed his own death cap. So those waves are going to be clearing itself on the side of APU here. Mineski is going to find it so difficult for them to try to siege up against the APU squad here.
But contrast that to that of the LeBlanc. LeBlanc wants to be this champion that is ahead in the goal curve, and now we find ourselves behind. Her opponent Syndra death cap already completed. She only has the rod available for herself. So that means she's about 80-80 down against her opponent, and any trade between the mid laners will be won by Lucifer by a very large margin.
That's right, and APU here recognizing their mid-game power spike and by how far they're ahead, it's going to move towards the mid lane here. Kind of making a small rotation, showing some vision around the Mineski jungle area. So, you know, talking about the blasting wall, not as wholesome as a death cap, but still doing a lot of damage here, and we will have the rotations now coming in place. They are looking to collapse down onto Exo at this stage.
It's a 3-man collapse.
That's right, Tarzan is around the area just stalking his prey and in fact gonna force Exo away. Look at how quickly the turret's gonna go down over here. APU picks up the second turret of the game, and we did see Lucifer catching out Yume in a bad rotation, so that's gonna take away one more kill on their own end. Stun out onto Mineski as well. Tarzan's gonna look for the follow-up, but does not happen. APU is gonna walk out of there alive with that bottom lane turret.
So it's a very large lead for APU at this stage of the game. 7,000 gold hit at the 20-minute mark. Definitely doing very well for all the members. The Syndra doing a fantastic job in CSing, having 210 for itself. It looks like they're going to be focusing on just putting pressure on, pedal to the metal, charging down the mid lane.
That's right here. I'm not too sure what Mineski can do to stop this one. We do see the tidal wave now coming back into place, and Tarzan's going to pick the ultimate off onto TG, but not enough damage as of yet. He's going to flash out of their fight instantaneously. And right now it is going to be that 5-man group up in the mid lane. Equalizer is still available for Nest if they need it to. And here we go now. The Cocoon now down onto B1. He himself is going to flash out of that. And Yume is going to go down to Terry. Here comes the Equalizer to pick up some more damage. B1's going to pick up a kill onto Khalid. And it is going to be Ter using the ultimate to sustain out for the rest of the team. And they come off that fight with a 2-for-0 trade with no one going down.
I have to criticize the Nami being played here by the Nest because she panicked, she popped the ultimate, she threw all her CC spells. The moment she was about to take the second tier turret, when the fight actually broke out, the major disengage was not present for the Nest.
That's right, and it is going to be APU taking out the mid lane turret in a very fast amount of time at the 23-minute mark as well. 15-2 in terms of kill count, 10,000 gold lead, and Phat Ultimate really showing us why they want to, sort of bring down Mineski as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mineski squad that went 1-1 with Saigon Fantastic 5 as well, one of the hot favorites coming into this split of the GPL. So in a sense, they do have what it takes to, move on in the group stages, but they're kind of choking a little bit here in the first matchup against Phat Ultimate.
I mean, there are 8 weaknesses to Chris, and we have to see what the performance is like. Because in a group stage league, it's not about winning those 1 or 2 games that are impressive, it's about consistency throughout the course of the season. And then this is a test of consistency. So far, they've been rather hit on this. Yes, they can speak really well on the day, they can take out the game against Saigon Fantastic 5, but now up against APU, they look a complete mess.
Right, let's see if APU is going to be able to pick up the mess right here as they look to pick up the Baron for themselves. They will get put out by the scrying up from Mineski though. Let's see if they will be able to do anything to try to challenge for this one. Baron's down for about 2,000. Will we see any sort of steal coming through from Mineski? Not quite the case here, as it is going to be the Baron now coming through, and that's the ultimate on both Khalid as well as GG. Here comes the tidal wave to try to reset the fight, but Ness has already taken GG down with the equalizer, and Lucifer's gonna pick up the scraps right here, and 1 more kill, 2 more kills now gonna go over to APU here. That is the 4-4-0 trade here. I think Mineski will be looking, APU here will be looking to end the game.
APU is simply bulldozing their way through Mineski, superior positioning, Baron control, as well as the position to turn at the right time, past Lantern, fantastic ultimate battle, as well as Lucifer is going bursting on Axel's Caleb. APU, they pick up the Nexus and take the first game to take the 1-0 lead against their opponents.
That's right, so for APU here, starting 2015 with a bang here as they pick up the first victory against Mineski. And, if you look into their matchup in this game #1, it was not flashy, it was not very extravagant, but it was just textbook style. They know their power spikes, they know where is the strength coming through, and they just capitalized off of that, and they took Mineski down in a very systematic fashion.
Definitely indeed. That was a rather impressive game from APU, and like we said, Mineski very hit and miss. Sometimes they can show up big, sometimes they just go home. So we have to see how well they adapt and what strategy they decide to bring out the second game.
That's right, and that's the beauty about the best of 2 series as well. In game #1, you may lose out in that matchup, but then again, you have a chance to redeem yourself. And let's see if Mineski is going to be able to do it here, because in game #1, let's be honest, they did not turn up whatsoever at all. And